Great. Well, it's my absolute pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me. It's really an honor. Finance is something that I really am passionate about, really enjoy, and so being able to talk about it with you is really a pleasure. Real quick, I'm going to share my screen and just share a quick little presentation, if that's okay. So while I share that, if you could just give me confirmation that you can see that right now. Are you able to see my screen?
It's starting the slide.
Okay, great. Okay, so I just wanted to talk a little bit about my journey, and then we'll dive into finance a little bit and targeted idea of what I'd like to talk about. But I went to school here. I graduated high school in Victoria and went on there to both Victoria College, got a 2-year associate's degree at Victoria College. That was really a great experience, and I was able to get my basic courses out of the way there. And then decided to still stay here for my 4-year degree for my bachelor's that I got at University of Houston in Victoria. And I got that in finance. I actually started off, you can see my guitar here in the middle of the screen. I started off as a music major at Victoria College, which you might say is, well, that's a wide jump going to finance. And I won't say it wasn't. It was very different, but I'm very glad I went with music, and believe it or not, there are some overlaps in that both are very analytical in some aspects and require that kind of same level of thinking. And there can be creativity in both for sure. So both were enjoyable to me. I'm really glad I had the background of going from music, and that's still something I enjoy. In fact, I've taught lessons through college, taught guitar lessons, and I still am able to play in a band today and play around town at various events and venues. So that's something I've been passionate about in addition to finance. So then I decided after Victoria College to go to UHV, get my bachelor's in finance, graduated there, and then went on working here after my graduation at this firm, KMH Wealth Management, and have worked there ever since. So very proud to be here, very happy and glad to be working for a great firm. While I've been here, I continued my education there. I really find education is something I really enjoy, pursue with a passion, always have my whole life. And if there's nothing else I want to convey today, it's the importance of that, of really investing in yourself with education. So after I started working here, I went to get my CFP. That stands for Certified Financial Planner. That's the gold one here, the gold box. That's about a 2-year certification. And it's a very rigorous exam that you take to teach you about all different areas of finance and how to help people with their financial lives. That's everything from budgeting and setting up retirement plans to investing their money for them and helping them accomplish their financial goals, whatever those may be. From there, I kept going. I went to get my Chartered Financial Analyst designation, which is 3 to 4 year to sometimes more year designation. I was thankful to be able to get that in 3 years. It's one of the more rigorous exams in finance, and so I'm very glad, very proud to be able to have that as well. In addition to that, I serve as our firm's Chief Financial Planning Officer and Chief Investment Officer. And what that means is I run our financial planning department in deciding what strategies we pursue, what technologies we use, as well as our investment department and deciding what investment strategies we go with. So really, like I said, something that I've done for a while now, really enjoy. So hopefully I can share that with you as we go forward here. I think one of the challenges whenever I was asked to do this is for me the time, because I could probably go for hours and talk with you about different areas of finance. I've done presentations for 6-8 weeks, and sometimes there's still more that can be talked about, can be discussed. So I really narrowed it down to a section that I feel is probably the most important. One of the most important takeaways. So I hope you enjoy it. one thing that we really find as core to investing, core to that is compound growth. And so I'm not going to talk a lot about this, but the idea of compound growth is in investing, you have a certain amount of funds or a certain something of value that you put into an account or put away, and that earns interest for you, and it builds over time. So that could be a savings account where you put $10 or $100 or some amount maybe every week from a part-time job that you have, or maybe every month. And you're able to put that away and save it in an investment. And that's able to grow to bear interest over time and grow bigger, grow larger. And sometimes the interest can actually end up being more than your initial investment, the amount you put in. And that's really cool that over a long time, you can have more than you put in, and sometimes a lot more than you put in. And just to illustrate that, I have this graph up here where if we were to say earn 10% interest, I'm going to use that just as an easy term on $100. I want to show you what that could turn into. And the 10% of 100, it's 1/10. So 10% of 100 is $10. And you know that's I think pretty easy to get our head around $10 if we were to say earn that per year. So I have that earning it annually per year. We'd earn $10 every single year. So if we were to earn what's called simple interest, that would never change. So we'd earn $10 this year on that $100 investment, and then next year we'd earn $10 again. The year after that, you get $10 again, and so on, and it never changes. But whenever we introduce the idea of compound interest, things get really a lot more interesting. Because what if that $10 I earned this year, what if that could earn interest next year for me? So the next year, if that earned 10%, it would earn $1. And then what if that interest could earn interest? And it grows like a snowball, building bigger and bigger over time. So for instance, if we were to invest $100 today, and we earned 10% interest a year for 30 years, over 30 years, if we just earned that $10 each year, the simple interest, we'd earn a good amount. We'd have, just under $500, maybe $450. But with compound interest, with that interest earning interest, that snowball effect, it really, that's this green line, it grows much larger. In fact, your $100 investment over 30 years would be $1,745. So much larger. And that's really exciting that this small kind of investment can grow larger, and time, is what's used to do that. It's just the kind of waiting. So, you may not have a lot of investment right now as kids in middle school, kind of learning. But there is something very important that you can use to invest, and you're doing it right now. You're investing in yourself, in your education. And that's really, as you can see, one of the things I most value. I've spent decades investing in myself, and really, if there's one thing I could encourage you, that's one of the most important investments you can make, is investing in yourself over time, valuing your education, valuing if that's your extracurricular activities, your sports, whatever it is you pursue, to really invest in yourself with that and put a lot of time and energy into that. And so that's what I wanted to talk about today, is the value of that investment in yourself, in education, and what that can amount to. So to start off, I want to talk about investing in yourself with a college degree, with a college education. And you've got some time to think about this, but that's what we're going to talk about today, is really what that can amount to, how much more you can earn over a lifetime on average with a 4-year college degree. So this is the first time where I really want you to talk amongst yourselves. Teachers, if you could ask your class and get a poll, I'd like you to put in the chat boxes. I'll give you some time. Put in the chat boxes how much more you think on average you can earn with a 4-year degree versus no degree. And this is over your whole lifetime. So just ask your class and then type that in the chat box whenever you're ready. Somewhere between 4 and 10 times more with a degree. Okay, okay. We've got Bonnie answering that. 100,000 more from Brittany Campos. Okay, good guesses. So I'll go ahead and move on here and show you. This is, and then we've got another one, Catherine Scott saying students could earn $1 million more. And then Lindsay with class thinks $1 million more. So really great guesses. And the answer is actually $2.4 million. That's a lot of money over an entire life. And it's more, I think, than most people would think. We had some really close guesses with $1 million. But yeah, education can really pay off. It of course depends on the degree you get and your career, what you decide. But these are averages used compared to people without a 4-year degree compared to those with. So you can really see that pays off over time. So then we may not decide to get a 4-year degree. We could also get a 2-year associate's degree, and that has value too. That was where I started off at Victoria College. I got my 2 years associate's degree. So let's play that same game and see, what do you think with a 2-year degree instead of that 4-year degree compared to a high school dropout? What do we think the difference in lifetime earnings are? So now we're talking about someone who dropped out of high school versus a 2-year associate's degree. I'll give you a minute to talk amongst yourselves and put the answer in the chat box. $1.2 million from Brittany. Catherine Scott, 300,000. Bonnie Knoll, 750,000 or more. All, again, very good guesses. The answer is, and then we had 750 again. Wow, we got some close guesses, very close guesses, because the answer is 700,000 there on average. So hopefully you can start to see that education really does have a value. And so what you're doing right now in really learning and broadening your horizons and investing in yourselves with education really is going to benefit you further on down the road. But it does have a cost to it. College has a cost. Obviously, it's not free. Here's some examples of local colleges, some that you may have considered or your parents may have gone to, and what those may have cost. Victoria College, for instance, is $2,496 per year on average, and that's just the tuition. Now, there's more expenses that come up, of course, that you have to pay for books whenever you go to college. Unfortunately, you don't get them for free anymore. You have to probably buy a laptop. You have to pay for transportation. And of course, room and board, where are you going to stay? That's very expensive too. So in some cases, that can double the cost, depending on what you go with. If you stay at home with your parents versus if you go, somewhere and rent an apartment or a dorm. But compare that to UHV, you can see it's quite a bit more, and that's University of Houston. It's here in Victoria. We have quite a few students, and that's a growing university that I went to. So very proud to have gone there. That's $8,500 per year that costs. So you can see it starts to get up there. A&M, another very popular university, just the tuition on average costs $13,000 a year, and this is published on their website. I went and got this yesterday. These are current costs. A&M costs that much. University of Texas in Austin, pretty similar cost at $13,260 per year. So this can really add up, and this can be a challenge because you may think, well, gosh, that's just way too much. I can't afford to go to college. I'd like to, but I just can't afford it. It's not an option for me. And so I wanted to talk about that because there are options for a lot of people in going to college. If that's really something you want to do, there's options to help you with that. be it financial aid, a lot of colleges will offer that, be it scholarships, or help with your family or part-time jobs. There's a lot of options that can help you to get this degree and to graduate without having a large amount of debt, which unfortunately a lot of people think about just the degree and getting that and not so much the debt afterwards, which can take years or decades to pay off. So it's really important to think about both of those in tandem. So that's the game that we're going to kind of play today, this time for payback game. And it's going to help us. What we're going to try to do is to realize our dreams in college. You can see that college can help us realize our dreams unless it leaves you with a student loan nightmare. So we're going to try to pay back our student loans through our college career and see where we can end up with the least amount of debt, but also balancing things like happiness in college. Because let's be real, you want to have a life, you want to still have friends and a social life, and you want to still have connections. So there's several things to think about there, but we want to do those while thinking about our college loans and not having a massive amount of debt at the end. So let's talk about how we can do that, how we can get there. So the first thing is, this is where we're going to decide together. We're going to apply for college. It's time to apply. So what we're going to do is enter our details to see where we're going to be accepted. So home state, well, we know that, thankfully. We're going to put Texas in there. Extracurriculars. So this is, I'm going to let you vote. These are things like clubs, sports teams, if you play an instrument, if you volunteer, all those things count to help. Colleges look at those on if they're going to accept you and if they're going to offer you scholarships, all of that. So I'd like you to pull your classes and see how active do we want to be before college? How active do we want to be in middle school and high school in doing those extracurriculars to help us get ahead of the game when we're going to college? And our options are high, medium, and low. So please ask your classes and let me know the average answers. Okay, we've got one high, one medium. And a medium. Okay, so I'll average that in. Oh, and we've got another high. So let's see if we can have a tiebreaker here. We've got two highs. There's a high. So we'll go with high. Okay, so we're going to be overachievers to really help us get a leg up on the game going into college. And then we've got a GPA. So we've got a lot of options here. Your GPA could be 4 or higher than 4 if you're really study hard and work hard to get good grades, or it could be lower. I'm going to assume that we're going to study hard. We're going to get a 3.7 to a 3.9. But maybe not that 4.0. So something probably achievable. So let's apply for college and see our options. So now we have 4 options. We got 4 decision letters. And that's great if you get accepted into multiple universities, because then you have options, but then you have to decide between the options. And that can be a challenge too sometimes, deciding between several good options. So we've got an in-state public university, the Texas Jalapenos. And this is a very prestigious college. It's also fairly expensive. It's $20,000 a year, but we can get financial aid of $15,737 a year. So that's something like your A&M would be an in-state public. Then we've got out-of-state public. So if you go out of state to a college, you're going to pay more than if you were in-state. This is the Tennessee Musicians. $40,622 is the cost, but we still get that $15,000. So you can see we're paying quite a bit more. Or we can go to a private school. This is the most expensive option at $62,000, $850 a year. But we do get quite a bit of aid from maybe past alumni scholarships of $49,000 a year. And then we've got the community college. That's like Victoria College. You can see that's the least cost at $8,500, but maybe the least prestigious. You're not going to brag to your friends that you're going to community college. So let's pull our students and see which option we're going to go with. We got 4 good options here. In-state public, out-of-state public, private, or community college. in-state public, in-state public, in-state public, Texas Jalapenos, so 3 in-state publics. We've got 1 community college. Good, I like these options so far. As you know, I went with community college and then I switched to an in-state public. So that's an option too, starting with one to cut the cost down and then going to the other. We got the in-state again. So we've got, I think by far more in-state publics. So that's a great option. We'll go with that. So we're a jalapeno. We're gonna save a ton of money on tuition compared to our private or out-of-state universities. But we're still close enough to home if maybe we're at A&M where we can drive home on the weekends and see our families. So a good option. So we're gonna have 3 things that we try to balance here. We're gonna try to keep our focus, and that's this bar down here. We wanna keep up with our classes. Then we're gonna have our connections. We have to have friends. We have to have people we know, and that's gonna help us later in life. And then happiness, you know, we have to be well-rounded with happiness. Otherwise, we're just gonna get depressed and maybe lose our steam. But then, of course, we want to have as little debt as possible. So we're starting off with $4,513 in debt. So we're going to try to keep that low. So let's go with our options and see where we go. So our high school graduation was awesome. We got gift cards. We got all these congratulatory gift cards that got us $750 in cash. What do we want to do with it? Do we want to treat ourselves with whatever that is, maybe the latest game station, maybe we want to go out to eat, go on a date, whatever it is, or do we want to save it for school and help us pay down our debt? Two saves, 3 saves. 4, everyone's saving so far. I like it. Another save. We got a good group here. Yeah, I think y'all get the idea. We've got some good savers. Okay, great. We'll save it for school. That's a good decision. You can see our debt is paid down to $3,700. Nobody likes being broke, but the best way to keep debt low is to save as much money as you can before you start college. So we'll continue on here. When you get to college, you've got to eat. And college students aren't always known for maybe the healthiest meal decisions. Sometimes ramen noodles or pizza is a strong staple. But how do we want to eat? We've got the standard, maybe those ramen noodles, that's going to cost us nothing. We can go extra hungry, and we're going to save $1,000 and put that towards our debt, or we can eat like a bird. So that's going to cost us $1,000. We're going to have maybe a little bit better lifestyle. What do we want to do? Got one standard from Lindsay. Another standard. Another standard from Bonnie. I'll give it just a minute more, and we got one like a bird. Good. So some good options there. So what the standard is kind of the middle of the road here. It's probably a good option. Honestly, it's probably the one I would choose to, if I were to really be honest. So it's not going to add to our debt, but we're going to eat pretty good compared to other college students. So we'll have plenty to eat. Remember, it's not going to cover extra things, you know, those extra smoothies, getting that $5 coffee at Starbucks every morning, or late night pizza as a snack. You know, we might have to be a little more frugal there. All right, so we're almost to freshman year. It's time to sign up for a dorm room. What do we want? We can have a roommate. That's going to be neutral, not cost us extra. We can request a single. So we're not going to have a roommate. That's going to be $750 extra. Or we can stay in a room with 4 people, and we're going to save $750 towards our debt. So what do we want to do? The budget option of quad, have a roommate, that's neutral, or we want to have a single dorm room with just us, the most expensive. Roommate, okay, got a couple of roommates. One roommate. Great. So that's a great option. You know, you can meet someone, maybe stay in touch with them for years and years, but you'll remember them forever. Sometimes they're great, sometimes they're horrible, but it does help you to save some of that money there. So we're also going to need some stuff for our room. So let's go to our cart and we're going to go shopping. In this case, I'm going to help us pick a few things that we're going to need. So we're going to need pillows. We're going to need to sleep. That's $60 for those pillows. Fluffy towel, another $20. Probably need a nightlight to study, $25. Let's see, definitely going to need some pens and pencils, $30 for school supplies. Probably a coffee maker to help us stay up and get up early in the morning. As a college student, that's a staple for 20 bucks. What else here? We're going to need a microwave to heat up the leftover pizza, whatever we're going to have. And then we probably also want to have some kind of enjoyment. So I'm just going to put here a game system. Oh, it's $300. Maybe not a game system. Maybe we can, yeah, we'll go with the Nerf basketball set for $30. We'll stay a little more budget friendly. So let's check out and see how this, so we added a little bit to our debt. So now we're going to need a new laptop. Okay. So here are our options. Nothing fancy. That's $750. Cheap as it gets for $250. Or we're going to get a really awesome laptop that can handle it all for $2,500. What do we want to go with? Cheap as it gets. Okay. Nothing fancy. Another good option. Two nothing fancies so far. That's three nothing fancies. That's the winner so far. Let's see if we can, and four nothing fancy. So we'll go with nothing fancy there. Good middle of the road laptop. We picked a solid machine that's going to get the job done. And we probably feel a little bit better saving money compared to the more expensive option. So now we're at freshman year 1 of college. If we never go off campus, we might lose our mind. So we're balancing our happiness. How will we get around? Are we going to bike? Are we going to bring a car? Or are we going to take the bus? What option do we want to go with? One for biking. Good. Biking, getting some exercise around campus. That's a good option. A lot of times college towns will be more bike friendly, so that's a good option too. But you may not be able to go as far. We've got one car and one bus, or one for each so far. Bike, car, bus. Car and bike have 2 so far. So it's a tie for car and bike. We need a tiebreaker. Tiebreaker from car and bike. All right, well, I'll go ahead and choose the tiebreaker here. I'm going to choose to bike it. We'll go ahead and bike it. That's going to be the budget option. So we add to our happiness. It's good for the environment. We're going to need to budget for cabs too, because there's just some places you just can't go with a bike, but good option. So we'll continue. Now we're going to need to buy textbooks here. So a couple of these I'm going to decide just in the interest of time to help. I know we've got places to be, so I don't want to keep you all from where you need to be. So I'll just choose, in this case, we're going to rent our books. It's going to be the cheaper option at $300. Rather than buying new, which is a little more expensive. We're probably not going to need the books after this semester we use them anyway. So we'll rent those. So renting's the cheapest route, not the easiest always. You can make notes, and if you lose it, you have to pay for a new one. So you want to keep that in mind and take care of the book. Working a job can help us offset expenses. How many hours a week do we want to work? None? Or during college, are we going to work 30 hours? Somewhere in between. All right, so try to decide, where are we going to work? How much are we going to earn? The more we work, the more we make, but less social life we're going to have. Got 10, we got a 15. So far, the average is maybe 12. Another 15, another 15. All right, we'll go with 15. We took $3,600 off our debt. That was a big hit off of our debt. So we got a job. So can we balance school, work, family, and friends? It's time to find out. So if we were together, I'd probably have one of you play this game. In this case, I'll go ahead and do it. So just give me, cheer me on. I'm gonna tap each icon as it lights up, and we're balancing. If school and work light up, I have to try to hit them both. But sometimes I have to sacrifice work for school or school for home, or fun. Probably has to have less fun to be able to go to work. So let's play this game and see how well we can balance. If we don't balance enough, we're going to get burned out. Oh, I already missed. Okay, we got home. Oh, missed fun. Okay, books. Oh, missed, well, at least I studied. Okay, studying. Okay, good, I had some fun. Okay, oh, missed them all. Okay, we're staying alive so far, but the idea is we're not able to balance, I think, everything that we'd want, but we're doing our best. So, okay, we got to go to work. Oh. Okay, let's see. Okay, I went to work, got to go home with family, so that's important. Okay, so lost a little bit of happiness, we were barely keeping our head above water, but that's the challenge. We chose to work quite a few hours, but our family will always love us and have time for us after college. Everyone knows that everyone's joining a fraternity or sorority. It's a group that you can pay for. If we want to do it, that's $2,000. If it's not for us, we don't have to pay anything. What do we want to do? Join a fraternity or sorority or not? You can just put join or not join. We got one, not for me. Another not for me. Okay. 3 not for me's. Okay. I think that's going to win it. So not for me. At some schools, it may seem like everyone's going Greek. That's the idea of joining a fraternity or sorority. They use Greek letters. But if you look around, you'll discover there's lots of people who aren't either. I personally didn't. It's a fine option not to. Moving on. We have to go Greek, join a sorority or fraternity. But college can be lonely if we don't find our place. So how are we going to connect? Friends are overrated. Well, I accidentally clicked that. So here's our option. Sorry. So are we sure about that? A strong social network, the real life kind, is a key part of college success. The truth is, social isolation can be dangerous to your health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Wow. Wow, that's pretty unhealthy. So maybe we should have chosen something else. We'll see if we can balance it out a little later. Continue on. After 6 months, eating at the dining hall is not so fun. Your friends want to go out for dinner every Friday. So what are we going to do? Are we going to join them, or just do it once in a while, or skip out? Maybe since we left the friends off the other time, we need to balance it out here a little bit. Every once in a while, good. Once a month, okay, once in a while. All right, we've got 3 options there, join and 1 join in. Okay, I'll see if we have one more chime in here. Looks like once a month is winning so far. Okay, we'll go ahead and go with once in a while. So we got a little bit more in that, but we saved some money. But our happiness, we might want to figure out how to increase that a little bit in our connections. We're running just a little bit, but we're doing all right. We're doing all right. We'll spend $1,500 less choosing that. Your friends have started calling themselves the dinner club, and it's hard not to feel like a guest star since we're not going all the time. End of year means it's time to return those rented textbooks. Where's our history book? What do? We lost it, or it's right here. You know what? I'm gonna say we found it. We found our history book. Good thing to keep an eye, because if we lost it, it would have cost us an extra $100. Okay. Whew. Congratulations, we made it through our first year of college. So what do we want to do this summer? Do we want to take it easy, or do we want to get a job? Working a job obviously is going to give us less social life and less fun, but we'll be able to pay down this $2,000 in debt that we still have. We have $2,148 in debt. 2 people getting a job. Catherine and Lindsay, 2 classes. Oh, 4 getting a job. Everyone's getting a job so far. Okay, we'll get a job. And we just almost paid off our debt. Wow, we're doing great. It would have been nice to relax a bit during summer and gear up for the next year. But owing less at the end of college will feel pretty nice too. Continue on here. We're on year 2 or sophomore. Schools looking for resident advisors in the dorms. So what happens there is you get free room and board, but you have to plan activities. Keep an eye on the freshmen. So you get money by saving a significant amount in where you're staying, but it takes a lot more work. What do we want to do? We want to become an RA or no thanks? RA. Got a lot of RAs. Looks like we're gonna be a resident advisor. So we got more focus, we got more connections in helping those people. Lost a little bit of happiness, but we're negative in the debt. That means we have positive money. Negative debt is positive money. So we saved a ton of money on room and board, but we've got a huge responsibility. Are we sure we're up for it? Let's see. Things have been so crazy with school and work and all that, we've totally forgot to file the FAFSA. Oh no, that's the financial aid application. The official deadline isn't for a while, but they started accepting applications 2 months ago. Is that bad? Let's see. Ooh, lost a lot of happiness, probably a lot of stress, and it cost us. Aid is often offered on a first come, first served basis. So while we're still get aid, you should always plan to submit your FAFSA the moment they begin applications. Ooh, that was a big loss. Maybe we shouldn't have spread ourselves so thin and doing all that other stuff. Oh, it's time to register for classes. Now's the race. Courses fill up quickly, so you're racing other students to sign up and see who can get the classes they need. If you miss a class, you may have to wait till the next semester to be able to get that class you need. So we're going to register before time runs out. I have to click as fast as I can to get my classes. I'm trying. Okay, we got 1 class before time runs out. Let's see if we can get all of them. Okay, got 2. On to 3. Let's see, 15 seconds left. Oh, and class number 4, come on. Oh, it's gonna be close. It's gonna be close. I think we got it. That's the way sometimes it can honestly feel, is like racing, rushing to try to get classes. I know people who log in the second that registration's open to get the classes, and that can be important for those high demand classes. We got into every single class we wanted. We bowed down to the class registration master. Continuing on, our parents got a new cell phone plan, and this time we're not on it. We'll have to get our own. What plan do we want to buy? Voice only, $240 a year, or voice and data, $840, quite a bit more. But of course, getting on the internet, maybe that's going to help us with our classes. I don't know. So which one do we want to go with? Voice only or voice and data? Voice and data. Voice and data, voice only, voice. Okay, we've got 3 for voice and data. Let's see if we get 1 more vote. All right, we'll go with voice and data. That looks like it's the winning one. We got happiness, we got connections, but we ate a little bit of our savings. So it's good to stay connected, but at over $800 a year, it's not cheap. We got to choose a major now. What's our major going to be? So we can choose agriculture, and the starting salary there is $38,900 a year. But we also have to keep in mind, are we going to get the job? The unemployment rate there is 13%, whereas agriculture starting salary is a bit more, $43,800 a year, but the unemployment rate's almost 17%. So there's a risk there. And then biology, kind of middle of the road between those two, $40,800 is the starting salary there, with a 12% unemployment rate. So what do we want to go into? Agriculture, architecture, or biology? We've got a biology, okay. Going into the sciences. A few biologies. More option. Let's see. Do we have more options? We've got business, communications, computer science. We do have some more options. Criminal justice, cultural studies, economics. If you want to vote for something that's not there, I can try to find it. Education, engineering, and English. Engineering, that's a good option. High starting salary. Oh, we got a couple, maybe we're going to change to engineering. let's go with that then. Let's go with engineering. All right. Summer's finally here. What are our plans for the next 3 months? We've got the next summer. Are we going to take it easy, fill up our happiness a little more? Are we going to get a job again? Or go to online summer school to try to get get to college finished a little bit earlier? What are we going with? Three, get a job. One, summer school. Both are great options. So get a job wins, paying down the debt, building up some savings, maybe, since we're just about at zero debt. So we'll go with that. We increased our connections and people we worked with. Reducing a debt's always a great idea. It might be nice to get a break too sometimes, though. All right, year 3, rounding the corner. Our school has the option to move off campus for our last 2 years. Your friends are getting an apartment, and there's room for you if you want it. It's cheaper to stay in the dorms, doesn't cost us anything extra, or we can pay $1,000 and move off campus. What do we want to do? Move with our friends for our last 2 years or stay in the dorms? Move off campus, and get a dorm. So we've got one of each. One of each so far. Could sway either way. Got a door, 2 for dorm. Oh, but it's back to even now. Move off campus. Oh, looks like it's leaning to move off campus. One more for move off campus. All right, we'll go ahead and move off campus. We're going to pay a little more, but we got more connections and more happiness. Problem is our focus. We're probably having all those extra friends around, losing our focus for studying. So it's really important to keep up with our classes. Maybe we want to think about ways to increase that too. That's in the red now. So we're saving money on rent, but things we've taken for granted in the dorms, like easy access to classes and our super convenient meal plan, won't come so easily now. Living on our own means buying our own groceries. How do we want to eat? Ramen noodles all the time, like royalty, or well enough, middle of the road. Well enough, ramen. Always do like some good ramen. Well enough, okay. We've got 2 for well enough so far. Let's see if it evens out at all. 2 for well enough, 2 for ramen. Do we have a tiebreaker? We do. All ramen all the time. Lost a little bit of happiness. I don't know. Maybe that's not. Maybe some people would gain happiness there. And yeah, it's important to keep our debt low, but you can't do well if you're hungry. Well, ramen, that fills you up. Okay, we'll keep going. Oh, we lost our focus. We didn't keep up with our GPA and we lost our scholarships. Without funding, we'll have to drop out. Unfortunately, we'll have to pay back the money we borrowed so far. Wow, we're not alone. Distraction is one of the 6 reasons people don't finish college. So that's really important. That's something to keep in mind, that keeping costs down is a strategy can actually be to help us keep our focus. And maybe sometimes we have to spend a little bit more or less time with friends to really focus on our grades. I'm sure right now that's a challenge that you're facing as students. You know, do I spend more time with friends? Do I do more social interactions or spend more time studying? That's something that we always have in life, where we put our focus, where we put our energy and our time. Unfortunately, we were so close. We were so close. We had a really great debt, but we just missed it on the focus area. So hopefully, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. Y'all did a great job. That was so much fun. Hopefully y'all had fun and saw some of the challenges, the real challenges that college students face. Um, yes, it's important to pay down debt, but yes, it's important to keep up with connections that you can use after you graduate and getting to know people. And yes, it's also important to spend time with family and friends and keep happiness so that you can also focus on your education, because really that's why you're there. That's why you're going to college, is to learn, not so much to get that piece of paper that says I graduated, but the real value is learning and getting at your education. And that comes with focus. So that was fun. Hopefully we learned something. I'll transition it now. Do we have any questions? If you have any questions, feel free to type them in the chat box. And anything finance related, if you have questions on college, education, saving, investing, budgeting, I'm happy to help. How long have I been doing my job? So that's a great question. I've been doing this since I graduated from University of Houston, and I did so in 2012. So I'm about 9 years plus in the industry. Whenever I first graduated, I remember I interviewed here a few months before graduation, probably about this time in the year, probably about March, and didn't hear back. The position was just not open at the time. And sometimes when you graduate, it can be tough getting a job. I put my resume out there, interviewed for some places. It wasn't till July, so several months after graduation, that I actually started working here. So, but ever since, I've been here and been continuing my education, furthering my career here. Now I'm a managing member of the firm here, so part owner, and it's been going great. How much money does a financial person make? It can vary. It can really vary widely on. There's so many different careers in finance. I like how bold a question that is. Whenever you first start out in finance, if you're going to work for a bank, if you're going to work for, you could go do that. Honestly, in finance, you could start banking as a teller at a bank, and some of those you might make $10-15 an hour if you are doing really well and moving up as a personal banker. And then if you're in personal finance, working for a fund, being a financial advisor, working for a bank, there's a lot of options out there. So there's a really wide range. I'll try to not just skirt the question. If you start off, probably starting off, if we were looking at that range and we were going to choose, instead of agriculture or engineering, if we were to choose finance, it probably would have started us around 40,000, which is close to some of the others. Probably would have been in the $40,000 to $43,000 range. And then where you go from there is really up to you. There's just like many careers, there's a really limitless ceiling. It's what you put into it. What is the most exciting part of my job and the least exciting? Wow, great questions. And the least exciting part of my job. So most exciting part is getting to work with people to help them make financial plans. The most exciting thing is whenever I get to come up with an idea or a solution or something I know from the research I've done, and tell them something, and a light bulb clicks, and it instantly saves them a lot of money or helps them get further along in their career. Doing a financial strategy that does that, or helping someone with insurance. I'll tell you an example. There was someone who I helped with their Medicare insurance, their Medicare age, which is a health insurance, and they were on their work insurance, and their work had advised them, after they retired, that they'd be fine, it would continue on as it was. And after I reviewed the documents, I said, well, it's really a lot more limited than you think. It has a maximum payout that's relatively low. And so if you have to go in the hospital for a long time, you're going to have a huge expense potentially. So I was able to help them switch from that to another policy that would save them money, but got them great coverage and was really a huge benefit if they end up needing that in the future. So really just being able to help people is exciting with this, because you use the things to be able to talk with them and use that knowledge to actually impact their lives. That's really cool. Least exciting, Oh, that paperwork. Lots of paperwork. You know, it can be we've been dealing with mounds of paperwork lately in a project we've been doing, and forms and that kind of work that can get tiring. Honestly, it can. Probably the least exciting. Did I do any extracurricular activities in college? For sure. Throughout college, like I said, I played music, I played guitar, I taught guitar lessons that helped me have an income outside of going to college. So that was really helpful and enjoyable. Got to know a lot of people and became a lot better musician through that. I think I wouldn't say I'm amazing, but you know, it helps a lot. Anytime you can teach something, helps you get better at it. I enjoy playing all kinds of genres of music, from classical to rock, to jazz, to country, all of it. So being able to teach, that was a really great extracurricular activity that I did in college. What's the hardest part of my job? There's some times where finding the right answer when there's not one right answer can be difficult, and choosing that. So if there's 5 good options, 6 good options. Like when we had that college choice, we chose we got accepted to 4 colleges. We had 4 great options. And I did the same whenever I applied for college. So I got accepted into a few and had to choose. So choice, whenever you've got several good options, finding the right one can be difficult, can require additional research and time. That can be something that's a little more time intensive sometimes. And especially with areas that you may not be as familiar with, that you have to research and learn a little bit more in. How many hours per week do I work? Good question. Usually it's the standard 40. I get here about 8 o'clock, usually leave at 5. If we have a big project, working 5:30 to 6 or a little past that would be fine. Not taking lunch is fine sometimes. I'm salary. What that means is that I don't get paid by the hour. So sometimes working more, I don't get paid extra in working more or less. But typically the standard is 8 to 5, unless I have something else I just need to get done, which as a professional, you just sometimes work a little bit extra. If that means coming in Saturdays, sometimes I've done that too. But I would say it's not as many hours as maybe a CPA has to work in tax season, where they're working 60, 70 hours, which is another route you might go if you're interested in finance. Accounting is another option. Okay, any other questions? Those are some really good ones. I'm really proud of y'all. It's great questions. Okay, well, I guess I'll wrap it up then. Thank you so much for having me. That was a lot of fun. Sorry we didn't make it to the end, that we had to drop out, but I think there's some lessons there that hopefully you have some takeaways, and hopefully y'all got something out of it.
Thank you so much, David, and I appreciate your time. And thank you, educators, for logging on. If you or your students think of any questions that you have in the future, feel free to email them to me, and I could forward them along to Mr. Vasquez, and we can get an answer for you all. This session is recorded, so if you want to follow up and watch it at a later date and time, please reach out and we could share that link. Once again, thank you all for participating. You all have a great day.